Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer McGuire, and I'm the Acting Director of the Office of Quality Surveillance within CDER's Office of Pharmaceutical Quality. And today I'd like to share with you CDER's Quality Management Maturity Program. A quality product of any kind consistently meets the expectations of the user, and drugs are no different. Patients expect safe and effective medicine with every dose they take. Pharmaceutical quality is consistently meeting standards that ensure every dose is safe and effective, free of contamination and defects. It is what gives patients confidence in their next dose of medicine. My presentation today is broken into two parts. First, I'd like to describe the Office of Quality Surveillance. Quality Management Maturity is considered a surveillance program, so understanding the Office of Quality Surveillance puts the program into context. And then I'd like to move into describing Quality Management Maturity. Okay, so the Office of Quality Surveillance. The vision of our office is to continually monitor and provide the state of quality for all regulated sites and products. And our mission is to assure that quality medicines are available through signal detection, data analysis, review of the state of quality, and proactive stakeholder engagement. So vision and mission statements always sound great, but what does that actually mean? I hope this slide will provide some additional context for what our office does. So as I mentioned, we monitor quality and manage information about both CDER regulated sites and the products that they manufacture. We use intelligence that we collect coupled with analytics to make data-driven decisions that hopefully reduce risk to patients. And I have a couple examples here of programs. So most of you are likely familiar with our site selection model, which we use to prioritize sites for routine GMP surveillance inspections. But we also have a human drug surveillance sampling program where we test products that are manufactured both domestically and internationally. We have a site engagement program where we proactively engage with companies to make sure that we can keep their products on the market. We try and avoid any issues before they become serious. And we're constantly quantitating the state of quality. So we proactively identify potential quality signals and trends before serious quality problems occur. And we continuously improve our surveillance strategies by applying new methods or techniques. I like to include this slide because I think sometimes industry confuses the Office of Surveillance with the Office of Compliance. So as I've mentioned, surveillance is constantly monitoring for different signals, and we're paying attention to both the frequency of signals and the severity of those signals, and assessing the public health impact of those signals. And depending on the severity and the frequency, that tells us how often we might need to engage with the site or how we could best use our surveillance resources. So we're operating in this green and yellow area, if you will. But if something happens that's more towards the upper right of this graph in this reddish area, that's really beyond surveillance. That would be more egregious things that occur, and that's handled by the Office of Compliance and could potentially become an enforcement matter. So surveillance and risk analysis is really looking at the green and the yellow and making sure that we can proactively identify signals and keep products available and on the market for patients. Okay, so I'd like to transition now into quality management maturity. So to provide some recent context, in October of 2019, we published a report for Congress that looked at drug shortages, root causes, and potential solutions. The report identified 3 root causes for drug shortages, but I want to draw your attention to the second one, which is that the market does not recognize and reward manufacturers for mature quality systems that focus on continuous improvement and early detection of supply chain issues. So the report recommended one enduring solution for this root cause, and that is to develop a rating system to incentivize drug manufacturers to invest in quality management maturity for their facilities. So when you think of quality management maturity, it's best thought of as an umbrella program. There are several different topics and practice areas that fall under the umbrella program of quality management maturity. So if you're familiar with our quality metrics program, we said at the beginning of that program that quality metrics was one small piece of a much larger framework. And it was one way to provide insight into how a particular site was performing. And so now we're being more explicit and calling that framework quality management maturity. But quality management maturity is more than just quality culture and quality metrics. It also includes things like the use of risk management plans and supply chain management. For example, do you look at redundancy in your supply chain? So if something like a hurricane or a pandemic should hit, are you able to reliably still manufacture drugs and make them available for the patient? So one definition of a quality management system is a collection of business processes needed to consistently implement and maintain quality product in the marketplace. So if you think of a basic QMS, it's generally reactive. It collects general or non-specific metrics that aren't really focused on the patient. And the goal is to achieve CGMP or current good manufacturing practice compliance. But a stronger, more mature QMS really enables what we call sustainable compliance. There's a strong focus on performance and continual improvement, especially outcomes and metrics that impact the patient. And there's the use of data-driven approaches, such as predictive analytics, to reduce quality issues that lead to complaints, shortages, and adverse events. So we believe that quality metric programs and statistics are part of a more mature QMS. FDA has identified the need for a system to measure and rate a drug manufacturing facility's quality management maturity and a firm's ability to deliver high-quality drug products reliably and without disruption. We feel that a quality management maturity program would incentivize improved QMS by rewarding facilities that achieve a higher degree of quality management maturity. A QMM program also would provide transparency into the market for purchasers, because we've heard that purchasers and GPOs might be willing to pay a higher price for a more reliable supply of drug product. And finally, a program would reduce the likelihood of quality problems that can lead to drug shortage by improving the robustness of the QMS. So how do you achieve quality management maturity? The quality management maturity framework builds on other existing framework. So CGMP really establishes a minimum standard for systems that assure proper design, monitoring, and control of manufacturing processes and facilities. ICHQ-10 then augments GMP with the concept of an effective pharmaceutical quality system. It outlines activities that can be conducted to manage and continually improve the PQS, and it introduces PQS elements, including corrective action and preventative action, change management, and management review. ICHQ-10 also describes how continual improvement is facilitated by PQS enablers, and those are knowledge management and the effective use of quality risk management principles. So quality management maturity can then be thought of as a measure of the consistency, reliability, and robustness of business processes established and maintained to achieve quality policies and objectives, including a focus on continual process and system improvement. Okay, so I've introduced quality management maturity and what we think a quality management maturity program would do, but what does quality management maturity actually look like? Manufacturers and those with oversight and controls over manufacturing really take ownership for quality. Management sets the tone of commitment to quality, and that tone permeates to the most junior level of staff. There's a very strong investment in people, so people have the training and the resources they need to do things right the first time. Organizational objectives really drive quality, and the quality systems shape culture. There's a strong focus on innovation and continual improvement, a move to performance-based quality management, a robust metrics program with a focus on analytics to be proactive, and there's risk management plans and forecasting to ensure reliability of supply. Okay, so quality management maturity is important, but it's not just important to the agency, it's important to industry, and it's important to patients and consumers. So first and foremost, patients and consumers expect their products to be available when they need them. Quality management maturity assures a more reliable access to important drug products. There's a commitment to continual improvement by industry, which leads to more robust manufacturing processes. This in turn leads to fewer recalls and fewer quality-related drug shortages, making sure those products remain available. For industry, quality management maturity is an important element of oversight and controls over the manufacture of drugs to ensure quality. If there's fewer recalls, this will improve corporate image. QMM also enables continual improvement of process performance, product quality, and the pharmaceutical quality system. And it leads to quality system efficiencies, cost savings, and potentially regulatory flexibility under ICH Q12. For the agency, quality management maturity provides additional quantitative and objective insight into the state of quality for products and facilities. It enhances our ability to allocate surveillance tools in a risk-based manner. It improves the effectiveness of inspections, and it can help identify factors leading to supply disruption. Okay, so I have some exciting news about the next steps for our Quality Management Maturity Program. On October 6th, we published 2 Federal Register notices that announced our pilots. So there's 2 pilot programs, and the reason that there's 2 is because they are funded slightly differently. So the first is a Quality Management Maturity for Finished Dosage Forms pilot program, which is open to domestic manufacturers of drug products marketed in the U.S. And I've provided the docket number here for you to go and take a look at that Federal Register notice. The second pilot program is the Quality Management Maturity for Active Pharmaceutical Ingredients pilot program. And this is open to foreign manufacturers of API used in drug products marketed in the U.S. We're looking for volunteers to participate in this pilot through November 30th of this year. And so that date is rapidly approaching. But we hope that you'll take a look at the Federal Register notices and put in a proposal to participate. Again, this is voluntary. We're looking for up to 9 sites per pilot to be selected. The quality management maturity appraisals that we'll be conducting are going to be done by a third party, and we have already selected the contractors that we're going to be working with for these pilots. So the Quality Management Maturity FDF pilot program, we're going to be working with Pacific Force Consulting Group, and they're partnering with Booz Allen Hamilton. And the API pilot program, we're going to be partnering with Shabas Solutions. So these are the contractors that are going to help us build a framework to conduct quality management maturity assessments. Okay. We have a few eligibility requirements for those that wish to participate in the pilot. So the first one is that the company must be in good compliance standing. And we've defined this to mean that they have no action indicated or voluntary action indicated final classification for FDA inspections going back 5 years from September of this year. And so simply put, this means that in order to participate in the pilot, you can't be OAI. And we've done this because During the quality management maturity appraisals that will be done by the contractors that I identified on the previous slide, we're looking to observe those above the bar behaviors. And we feel that sites that are OAI are just struggling to meet that minimum GMP compliance, and they're unlikely to have achieved that sustainable compliance where they're displaying the types of mature behaviors that we hope to better understand and identify. So for that reason, you have to be NAI or VAI to participate in the pilot. There's a couple other requirements. So while participating in the pilot, the company has to agree to the assessments that'll be conducted by a contractor identified by FDA as having the expertise necessary to assess quality management maturity. And these contractors may be accompanied by FDA staff. The company also has to be willing to collect and submit metric data to the FDA and to the contractor prior to the assessment. And they have to be available for real-time consultations with both the contractor and the FDA. So I've recently gotten a couple questions that I'd like to take a minute to address while I'm on this slide. So a lot of companies have been sending emails asking about what they can anticipate as the time commitment. And it's a little difficult to say because initially we thought that these assessments would be conducted on site, but COVID-19 has definitely been a bit of a curveball. So we're now working with the contractors to see how we might do these assessments virtually or through surveys. But our best guess at this point would be a commitment of 1 to 2 weeks for the actual assessment itself, plus some follow-up discussions over the course of the contract. So that's one question I wanted to address. The other question that's been coming up is what kind of metric data is going to be required. And at this time, the purpose of this program is completely different than our quality metrics program. And so we're not looking to standardize metrics definitions here or to necessarily collect the same metrics from every participant. So it's more likely that we'll ask for metrics of the company's choosing in some key areas. And those areas could represent the voice of the customer, a measure of manufacturing robustness, and perhaps a measure of PQS effectiveness or laboratory performance. So there's a little bit of flexibility there, but more details will be forthcoming to those who want to participate in the program. So just a word about quality management maturity and quality metrics. We still feel that quality metrics are a key aspect of a mature QMS, and using data-driven approaches to reduce quality issues is still of paramount importance. Any assessment that's conducted to assess a facility's quality management maturity would necessarily be an evaluation at a point in time. So quality metrics data is still important to provide information about the quality of the facility and the manufacturing process performance on an ongoing basis and in between on-site assessments. So projecting out 5 or so years, we would anticipate that quality metrics might be a mandatory component of our surveillance program, and quality management maturity would be a voluntary component of a surveillance program. Okay, so some key takeaways from my talk today. Both strong metrics and quality culture programs are part of quality management maturity. As I showed you that slide earlier, quality management maturity can be thought of as an umbrella program. Current research indicates that quality metrics and quality culture programs are good business practice and an important element of modern pharmaceutical manufacturing. The Office of Quality Surveillance continues to engage stakeholders and support related academic research. Our goal is to keep all sites in compliance and all products available for patients. Our office continually monitors the state of quality for sites and products so every dose is safe and effective, free of contamination and defects, and patients can be confident in their next dose. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this webinar. I hope I've helped to explain our newest initiative, Quality Management Maturity, and what we're hoping to gain out of our pilot program. And one other thing I want to mention about the pilot program any information shared through this pilot and the outcome of the assessment is not meant to be public information, and it will only be used for the agency to further develop its quality management maturity program. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, and I don't want concern that we're going to share data about your assessment publicly to inhibit your desire to participate. So hopefully you'll all check out the Federal Register notices and join us in our latest initiative. Thanks, everybody.